What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. It is Monday, April 27th. We're almost May.
Almost, it's gonna be May. Yes, I love that meme. Fight me. Anyway, what's up, everyone? How are you doing? Got Cypher, Rob, 27 Shred, and Android mentally. I watched quite a bit of the 24-hour stream. Well done. Well done. You were like surprisingly alert. Like I always love watching the last like 30 minutes to see, and I was like, damn, well done. Props.
Yeah, I tuned in a little bit to it every now and then. I kind of kept checking in. It was good. It was good.
It's always fun. And you did it like solo. That's what's impressive. I was talking to my wife about it, and I was like, the good thing about like the last one and our upcoming one with the 24-hour streams is like it's two of us. So if one of us is like spent for a minute, the other one can kind of start taking lead and then back and forth. So solo, that's a whole nother story. But maybe we'll do like a 48-hour stream one time. Just
this is solo 24-hour stream. That'd be interesting.
Solo back-to-back 24-hour streams. I heard one of you ended up walking around for a few. Yeah, that was me. Just like pacing back and forth. But anyway, I like Kirstu. Who else is here? Tyler Durden. Go check out CYO Caps mentally, of course. Zap.
Woo.
Stash, thank you for the sub. Willio, thank you for the sub. Frisco Melt, thank you for the sub. Much appreciate it. Welcome, guys. We got some spice today.
We do a little bit of spice today. There have been. It was funny after the show last week. Chewy and I were talking, and we we're like, man, we need there to be something a little bit spicy to happen. Something we can talk about a little bit more. And there was something that was kind of brewing, but it has developed a little bit more. Actually, two things really. So it'll have a little bit of spice today. But first, I think quick shout out to our sponsors.
Absolutely.
First up, you got switchmod.net. Head on over to switchmod.net/Mechs on Deck. Pick up GMK Frostwitch, running until the middle of next month. If you are into purple, that is the set for you. Zap Cables makes the best cables in the business. I saw John in there earlier. We both use Zap cables. We stand by them. Great quality. Pick them up. Also, they have great desk mats. Might show one off here in a little bit. And then, of course, Dixie Mech. Head on over to mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. Pick up GMK Nautilus 2. It's doing well. And then next month, last couple days on that one, and the next month, GMK Redacted, which is a set that a lot of people didn't think was actually going to happen. They thought it was a meme. They thought it was a April Fool's joke. But it's real, and it's coming.
Absolutely. Next up, Canon Keys. You can go to canonkeys.com/Mechs on Deck. GMK Noel. Great set. I think that's going to be a sleeper hit. I mean, I know it's doing well, but I think a lot of people are going to be, they're going to kind of like that's a set that I think is going to do really well once it's in person. Kind of like Shoko, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So another great one. Sleek Keyboards. Thank you guys. What is up, man? We're doing. I hope you are doing as well as we are. Today's been a fun day. As well as sorry, lost my track. Type Beast. Make sure to sign up for that newsletter. He does some awesome stuff.
Yep.
So, and then last but not least, you can pick up. Did you mention the Rukia? I'm sorry.
I did not mention the Rukia.
No, the Rukia. So the Rukia, great Alice style board, Alice layout board, a polycarbonate. So be sure to hit !Rukia. If you want to go grab one, use the promo code Mechs on Deck, and that does help support the channel. It's an amazing board. We got to try them up over at the NorCal meetup, and I know that a lot of people that neither of us own one. We both have OSAs, just a different board, but some of our closest Keeb community friends swear by them. So we definitely highly recommend them.
Oh, no, it's not about the Rukia.
No, God, no.
The Rukia went really well for round 1. I can't imagine round 2 having issues at all. Also, just bookmark that website, mintautumn.com. He's got some cool stuff coming. If you've been in touch with Jack Statics, you know that he's working on a bunch of different things that are doing some really, really cool things in the community and doing some unique things with boards. So definitely check that website out and keep checking it out, because there's going to be some hot new stuff coming in the next couple months. But
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see more vendors putting out different things. You know, it's kind of the wider variety of vendors. We don't need the one-stop shop. That's not how the community is going to grow.
It's true. That's true. Chewy, we got some mail.
We got some fun mail today.
We've got some fun mail.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
Mine's not really about keyboards, so you can go first.
Mentally does bring up a good point. Sometimes stock can be an issue. Anyway. All right. So, for those who didn't know, Zap Cables ran a sort of giveaway, but it was more, I guess, just to be like, hey, let's share recipes. And they made like a little recipe book. And he did a really good job on it. You can go check his Discord out. He did a fantastic job like putting it together and making it look like a recipe book. I didn't know if it was just going to be kind of like a Google Doc, but he did an awesome job. But he did actually, and also the first recipe is one straight from this guy. So an amazing breakfast sandwich that I have talked about on stream before. But he did a desk mat giveaway, and well, bam, I won a desk mat. And before you say it was rigged, it was on a random generator, and he even posted the screenshots. But funny story about this desk mat, because I feel like I finally got some redemption out of it. So a long time ago, you can see one in the back of Osiris's camera. So a long time ago, we were we were doing promotional stuff for the bumper, and we were like, oh, could maybe you throw us a desk mat and we can do like promotional stuff for it. But Osiris was doing the promotional stuff for it, and he goes, well, which one do you want, Chewy? And I said, I'd love the Hawaiian one. And then I said, well, for ease of use and timing, just go ahead and send it to Osiris. And it has never left his apartment. So, redemption.
Matt Bros.
Yeet. Although my wife is going to be using this one primarily because it is very colorful, and she likes colorful things. So, that was a fun one. And then I got this bad boy in on the 24-hour stream, which we'll talk about in just a moment. I will be building this. Extremely excited. That's all. That's all I'm going to show. That's all I'm going to show. Keep the hype going. Can't wait. Grail. That's all I got to say. I've got more to talk about later about it. But I'm very, very excited for that one. Let's see. We got hype.
A little bit of hype train. So that'll shift over to my mail.
Yeah.
So I got mine, as I said, has nothing to do with keyboards. I've told a certain story on the channel before. It was a couple weeks ago, maybe a little bit over a month ago. I told a story about how I lost my weenie and nuts when I was like 7. And a good friend of the channel, Langlandia, decided to send me my weenie and nuts. So if you don't know, these are Beanie Babies. It's the TY tag. That's what that is. This is Weenie. He's a dachshund. I believe he comes with a birth.
What's his birthday?
Date. His date of birth. He's an old boy. He was born 7/20/1995. So this is a very old dog.
25-year-old wiener dog.
Weenie the dog is quite a sight long of body and short of height. He perches himself high on a log and considers himself to be top dog.
I didn't even know they made poems on this.
So this is Weenie. And then he came with his good pal, Nuts the squirrel. Nuts was born 121, so January 21st, 1996. Very old for a squirrel. Very, very old for a squirrel.
Yeah, I don't know my squirrel history.
With his bushy tail, he'll scamper up a tree, the most cheerful critter you'll ever see. He's nuts about nuts, and he loves to chat. Have you ever seen a squirrel like that? Thank you, Langlandia, for getting my Weenie and Nuts back together again. They've been reunited. So I got to figure out somewhere I can put these. I'm been moving things around in my apartment recently, so I might figure out a way to prominently display my Weenie and Nuts for everyone to see on the streams. Who knows? Maybe back there above my Funko Pop things. So
I love it. I love it. That is a good transition with Langlandia talking about, and this does not have anything to do with Troubled Group Buys. We're going to talk about the 24-hour stream really quick. So we are May 9th, most likely starting at noon. We haven't announced an official schedule yet, but it's just easy to start at noon. We're going to be doing a 24-hour stream. Why, you ask? Because why not? It's because of the times. Many of us are stuck at home. We would love to do something fun for people to watch while they are at home and maybe needing some entertainment or wanting some entertainment. So if you guys didn't know, Mentorly just did her 24-hour stream. I'm sure it is still up on her Twitch. If you want to link that, Mentorly, it was a good one. Absolutely. But we've got some awesome stuff for it planned. We've got people like Mr. Langlandia joining us. We're going to be focusing on trying to get as many people to be a part of this as possible. We've got giveaways, of course, with Infinity Grain, 2 different sets of Infinity Grain by Mr. Langlandia himself has provided that. We've got giveaways from Project Keyboards, Dixie Mech, Canon Keys, Zap, CYO Caps, Prime Caps has now joined the fun and the giveaway, as well as the big ticket item is the Rukia.
yeah, giving away a Rukia. So it's a pretty cool board. So it will be just before that group buy, or just after the group buy ends, I believe. So if you unfortunately can't get one, maybe right now, maybe you're experiencing some financial trouble right now because of everything that's happening with the COVIDs, the Rona. Maybe you'll win one. Who knows?
Maybe. And if you do get in on one, and if you got one and you win the Rukia as well, you'll be refunded as well for the price of what a base kit costs. So don't feel like you have to try Lady Luck if you really want one. I suggest heavily you go buy one. And if you get double down on your luck, then you're able to get at least a base kit refunded. So what we all really need is the Mechs on Deck stimulus package. What is that? I don't. What would be a stimulus package that we could send everybody?
That's actually an interesting idea. We might have to discuss something about that. About
like make a homemade stimulus package.
Yeah.
Of like
something to send out to people. Maybe we do like maybe we make something and we throw that in as part of the giveaways.
I like it. Sniper Bob, if we do this, you've already won.
Yeah, you're already getting one for the idea.
So thank you very much. But yeah, so I think that's it for announcements.
That's it. I think that's it. We can get started on the spice. The spicy takes, as Mentorly says. There has been some interesting things that have happened in the last couple weeks for a group buy in the last month. That's been kind of a back and forth between a designer, vendors, everything. And we're going to talk a little bit about them today. So which one do you want to start with, Chewy?
Well, I'm gonna let chat decide. So spoilers. We're going to be talking about the Kono Shoko problems and the Lumina problems. So whoever first says Kono or Lumina, whoever first want to see in chat is what we're going to talk about. That'd be hilarious if no one ever said anything in chat.
Kono.
Kono. There it is.
I figured Kono would be first.
Kono.
Right.
So Kono, what happened? All right. So Kono, in short, Kono decided that they were going to run a round 2 of GMK Shoko, and we found out quickly that the original group buy, or not group buy runner, but the original designer of GMK Shoko had no knowledge of this and was not asked for permission. That's like the cover title, but there is obviously a lot more to this.
Yeah, and so a little history about GMK Shoko. So GMK Shoko is a set that ran a while ago. It shipped out early last year, I believe. It took a while to ship. It did not do well initially. It's a set. It's one of those sets like in the same vein, almost really is round 1 of Olivia, where it didn't sell amazing at first. Olivia did hit. Shoko really needed some additional help to hit. And then it came out and it blew up and everyone loved it. There were not necessarily issues with like the group buy, but Shoko put up money for the renders. They put up money to make sure it hit MOQ and get it to MOQ.
Kono did this.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Kono. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Kono put up the money for the renders. Kono put up the money to get it to MOQ. And for a long time, basically ever since it shipped and the set blew up and it was selling for $400, $500, $600 on the aftermarket, they were like, okay, well, we're probably going to run a round 2. It's been on their page for forever of we want to run round 2. And so that kind of happened, but they didn't talk to Ray. And what we were talking today is about that little bit of exchange that they've had, and the issues that have happened. So
yeah, absolutely. So this is such a weird situation because it's not, at the end of the day, Kono is running a set that somebody else designed that it's just goofy because it's not like there are no like rights, there are no trademarks, there are no, there's nothing about designing a key set is all kind of just like dibs mentality. We've talked about that a lot in the past where it's just kind of like, I did this. The name GMK Shoko is not trademarked by anybody. That colorway is not, anyone can go make GMK light blue and it could be 1-to-1. There's no, you can't take a RAL chip and go, I claim this one as mine. You might face backlash. But you know what, to me, it's kind of like, what's to stop a company from going, hey, GMK, make this set and make 250 units of it. And then some dude just makes 250 units of Shoko or Olivia or any of that. Now, GMK sometimes will kind of flag this as like, hey, what is this? But at the end of the day, GMK is just a business. And so there's a lot of like uncomfiness with this situation because there's not a lot of stuff on paper. It's a lot of agreements. It's a lot of, you know what, sure, you did all the work, you picked out the RAL chips, I'll send this information to GMK and then I'll collect money for you. And then I give you some and I give GMK a bunch and then I keep some and then GMK sends me the product and I ship it out.
Yeah. So what happens is, and I think the issue is that GMK's like not necessarily agreement to be exact. I'm not sure how if they actually have contracts in this. I would assume that they have some sort of like, there's a purchase agreement, right? Because that all lies with the vendor. So the main issue with this is that we have a designer that has run a set and they wanted to make changes for round 2. Kono necessarily didn't feel like they wanted to make those changes. There wasn't a lot of communication back and forth. Kono was going to run Shoko, and they started running Shoko without really giving Ray Sasquatch any kind of notice or anything about that. The question is, and there's a lot of devil advocates here, because in a sense, Shoko, yes, I think it's messed up to not talk to the initial designer, because that product wouldn't necessarily exist in the same form or fashion if Ray hadn't done the work it took in order to get the set to where it was when it went into group buy back in like November of 2018. But at the same time, Ono put a lot of money financially into creating the set and making it. So are they justified in what they did? Probably not. Is it okay legally? Yes, because at the end of the day, because Kono is really the holder of that, like, because Ray didn't enter into any form of like a contract or anything, he has said on the Geek Hack thread that I linked that he did not sign anything. In the eyes of GMK, which you can tell everyone that you made this, you came up with these colors, you are the initial creator of this. In the eyes of GMK, their loyalties are going to rely a lot more with the vendor than the designer.
Yep. Because
the vendor is the one that put the money up for it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and Oxy, we'll get to that in a minute. So here's kind of a devil's advocate thing. Now, once again, I just want to say we're spitting out ideas. I think we'll both give our personal opinions towards the end of this discussion, but this is more of an idea. You could make the argument that without Kono buying out half that set, Shoko would never have been able to be one. It wouldn't have come out because they could have just let it die. Kono didn't want to let it die. And round 2 was only because Kono was able to buy out these sets. So one could say that, yes, Kono is justified in running this again, because the only reason that it has popularity is because they saved it. They're the reason it's popular, because they're the person that fronted the check that said, you know what, I will buy this and I will send this. And then, it kind of is out of the designer's hands at that point. I don't know what the financial deal was with that. Obviously every vendor and every agreement is going to be different, but Kono, I mean, that's about half. So 125 sets. That wasn't an inexpensive set. Or that wasn't cheap. It was a full set. It was a pretty big base kit, if I remember. So that's a lot of money to front, and they obviously got all their money back, but the argument could be made that Kono's justified, because if Kono backs out, then that set doesn't do well. Yeah, or that set doesn't even exist, and there's not even the ability to have a round 2. So kind of on that, like volleyball, it's like, kind of point Kono, like you're the reason this exists. So why wouldn't you be able to run this? Because it's not like there are these big contractual agreements.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Kono definitely would not, or not Kono, but Shoko would not have happened. It did not hit group by natural. It did not hit MOQ naturally. It hit MOQ because they bought it out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's a really unfortunate situation, because there was also the issue of Ray wanted to do a Hiragana sub-legend for round 2, and Kono had basically been telling people that they weren't going to do that. Which was another thing. Like, there were some emails that were in the group buy thread where it talks about how, I saw they were going to do this, and Kono was like, no, we're not doing this based on previous sales of other Hiragana, sub-legend sets, so we've decided that we're not going to do that. I guess now, since that has happened, that might have changed a little bit. I know Kono has talked to Ray. Ray actually did reach out to GMK, and GMK was like, listen, we're not going to hang out, or we're not going to talk to you about this. Handle it with Kono. Like, this isn't on our end.
Rightfully so. GMK does not need to be. GMK sees a check and an order. That's all GMK needs to be a part of.
Yeah. But I think it is now, since they have taken it off the site, they're no longer selling it. It's listed as, like, I believe, sold out. Yeah, you can't currently buy it, and they're looking at working forward to a better agreement between the two parties.
Yeah, I think this is just a step that this is a hobby that is quickly becoming more and more commercialized. I think that this is a kind of wake-up call that, at this point right now, since it's still relatively small amongst like other hobbies, doing something like this and kind of standing your ground could be potential, like, industry suicide for your company. But eventually it's kind of like, at what point does that growth happen to where Kono can just do this and be like, I don't care. We're going to sell it, because you can either boycott it and not get it, or you buy it and then thank you very much. Here's your product. Like, it's kind of that awkward situation where it's like, we are slowly turning from a community that it was very much like, hey, let's find this vendor. And Kono was a very big vendor, one of the top vendors about 2 years ago for group buys, because they were able to provide shipping and help out with that. And then obviously, like, you have Mass Drop as well, but they're able to help with, like, shipping and distribution. So these keycap group buys could actually exist, but now it's just becoming less and less about, with all these different group buys, these vendors are getting more and more power through this. They can start saying no. They can start making these decisions, and it is becoming harder to become a designer, as I think it should be. I don't think we should be, like, it hurts to say, but not everybody can design. I cannot design keycap sets. I know that. I am not someone that would be able to. And for, like, I think last year there kind of had this overall theme of anyone can design a keycap set and everyone can, and that's awesome. And now it's kind of pulling back, and I'm kind of like, I don't know if everybody can design a keycap set. I think the people that you keep seeing the names repeating, there's a reason that they are keeping designing keycap sets, but a lot of the power is shifting towards the vendor, which is just the basic change of commercialization with this hobby.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, as the hobby, there's a lot of different things, right? I think one of the big deals, and why a lot of people are upset, Kono has gotten a lot of crap in the past, 6 months or so. They ran a lot of sets in November and December. None of them really did super well. Some of them weren't, like, done. Like, High Voltage was not a completed set.
Gosh,
when it ran, like,
I forgot about that.
Like, it wasn't, and they ran it anyway. And so Kono has had their issues. I think I've always come back to the same thing of the thing that makes Kono, and in a sense Drop, different from a lot of these other vendors. You don't have someone that is from the community, that is invested in the community, has kind of had that ground up start the same way, or with Kono the same way you have with, like, your Dixie Mechs, your Canon keys, your Project keyboards, right? They don't have a pivotal pivotal person that's appearing and is someone that you can, reach out to, right? It is a company.
Mm-hmm.
It is a faceless organization in a sense. If I want to talk to Dixie Mech about something, the company Dixie Mech about something for our channel or for something, I can go hit up Dixie. I can go hit up 159 if I need to talk to about something for Project Keyboard. Now, I'm not saying PM these people. Please don't do that. Go through their support, their dedicated support channel. But I'm saying there are people that represent those companies that have the ground up. They've made it from, hey, I'm just a guy running a keycap set, to where they are now solely in this community, whereas Kono is not necessarily that. It is an organization that has funding. They have backing from people outside of the community. They have like warehouses and stuff. It's more along the lines of like a drop than it is a Dixie or a Cannon Keys.
Yeah, and that's not to say, like, we've met Hata. He's a great guy. He's done a lot for this hobby and this community. But Hata is not really business side of Kono. Like, at least from my understanding, he's not someone, he's not the one packing and shipping boxes. So there is a spot for Kono, and a lot of this I kind of see with like a originative company, or OKO for short. That is a company that they just kind of sell stuff. They just provide, if you want to run your set through them, I'm sure they'd be happy to take designs and just do it. But they're like, listen, they kind of do their own thing. And I really appreciate that about them, because it's kind of just like, hey, we're going to do this our way. And you don't hear too many people. The only thing I hear really from Oko is that people are like, I don't like the sets they run. Okay, that's fine. Like, not every, I'm not a big fan of Frost Witch. It doesn't mean I hate Switch Mod.
Yeah, right.
Like, Crowbit's a good guy, but I don't like that purple set, and I'm not a big Sub Legends fan. So, like, end of the day, like, I'll say, if that's for you, go get it. It's a great set. If that's for you, not for me. But that's the thing. It's like, that is a company. They just run a business, and they do it well. And Kono runs a business. They made this mistake, but that's because they're running it like a business.
Yeah, and I don't think I don't agree 100% with them the way that things happened, but I don't necessarily think that everything was done, or anything was done maliciously, or like that they were trying to keep Ray in the dark about this.
Yeah.
It has been long talked about on the Kono website. They've sent out emails before. They did a dang like Google form at some point, or it was like a form where you could talk about what set do you want us to rerun, and Shoko won. So like it has been very heavily talked about on the Kono website of Shoko being reran. In what capacity? Should they have reached out to Ray? Probably. Or definitely. But it's not a surprise that they went forward with running it. He said that they did not technically buy the colorway from him. There could be different people. There could be different people involved now than what were involved in Kono back in 2018. There may be some misunderstanding there of they think that they have full rights to this. Apparently, there was conversations about rights to the colorway, to the idea that is GMK Shoko.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me, if you're a designer, if you're running any type of thing, if you are having someone sell a product for you and taking on the very, very large half of that entire thing, obviously design is hard. There's a lot of stuff that goes into designing. There's a lot of different things that happen with it. But the back end is a ton of work.
Yeah.
Even if it's at a base MOQ of 250, that is a ton of stuff to have to get delivered to you, package, sort, ship out. That's a ton of work.
Yep.
Sign a contract.
Yeah.
Sign a contract.
Figure something out, because you can't, at the end of the day, you can't trademark, you can't claim as your own, and no one else can use a colorway.
Right.
We're in this hobby. We've talked, like I said, dibs culture a second ago. It's kind of like, I made this. No one else makes something like this. If you want to go make GMK Olivia right now, you might be hated, but I'd be willing to bet money that if someone said, I'm running a GMK rose gold and dark gray and white set that looks like this, and it's just GMK Olivia, and I have 249 other spots, and I'm selling this at this price or whatever, I'm willing to bet there are 249 people that do not care about the morality of it and will just buy it.
Yeah. I think,
And
so,
it's just, that's sorry. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can't, it's just colors. Like, it's kind of just a like respectful, like, please don't copy this 1-to-1, but you can't do that legally. You have no room to stand on. If someone sold that, Olivia or Novel Keys couldn't go over and be like, you owe me money for that. And be like, no, I don't owe you anything.
yeah, I mean, there's now GMK wouldn't do that, in the sense of, we've heard before from different people that GMK will not run a set in the exact, like, they won't run a second set in the exact same as a first set with someone else, right?
Yeah.
Like, they will not do that.
But who's to say something like Cat?
Now they will go, and they may go and ask that vendor. They may send out like if you ran Olivia, right? If you wanted to run Olivia and you called it Bolivia, as Silly Pears said, they will. I would imagine that they would reach out to Novel Keys and be like, "Hey, what?" And they would reach out and say, "Hey, what's going on with this?" But for other things, like if you change it enough, they won't care. They will see it as different. But in terms of like talking, someone asked about rerunning GMK Muted. The reason why that isn't going to be rerun is because it was run by a vendor that is still technically in the community, but is not super active. And I think people have asked him, and I think maybe even GMK, and it's been kind of
hazy,
nixed. Yeah, I know some people that know the initial runner of GMK Muted, because he ran it and was the vendor for it, and it was kind of like, no, we're not interested in doing that. So at least at that time, I don't know if it's going to happen again. Who knows?
And with Modern Dolch being similar, I know most people want that purple and blue.
Yeah.
I could see him potentially running that purple and blue again, because I think accent kits are getting close. We're getting very close to, I think, enough sets being basic enough to where you can run accent kits. That's a whole nother story. We can talk about that another time. But these contracts are interesting, because I wrote here, kind of while you were talking earlier about, would you sign a contract if you have to be bought out? You lose a lot of ground you stand on, because when you go up to a vendor going, I think this set is great, I want you to run it, you're also saying, regardless of what you're saying or not, what you're saying is, I think this set will sell enough that it will get made. You are telling someone, you're running the interest checks, you're running, you're getting the info, you're getting all your basically your market research, and telling a vendor, I think that this set will sell 250 sets and be able to run. And a vendor, most of the time, is going to be smart enough to go, I think that will run. Most of the successful vendors in this hobby are the ones that can look at something and go, that will sell. Dixie's one of them. Novel Keys is another one of them, where it's going, I am going to look at something and go, I think and I know that this set will run. And then they weed everything else out because they're like, listen, I'm only going to put forth sets that I think will sell. And so if you go up to a vendor going, I think this will sell, and then the vendor comes back and goes, it didn't sell and I'm having to buy it out, it wouldn't even be reasonable for a vendor, but going into this, obviously before ever taking it to group buy, to go, hey, if I have to buy you out, you lose your rights to this colorway. Or you say, so you can either give them the option of, I'll buy it out, but you lose a right to round 2, or I don't buy it out, the set fails and you never get it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because so if you as a designer, like if you're thinking of it just from like flatline, right? Any sets. If you as a designer are asking or getting with a vendor, because I know a lot of times Kono doesn't necessarily, like specifically Kono doesn't necessarily reach out about like wanting to run sets. I know a lot of times some vendors will reach out, but more often than not, it is a designer reaching to a vendor. Hey, I want to run this key set. Will you take it? By retaining all of the property of the set itself, you're really asking for a significant amount of work and all of the risk by the vendor with not a lot of reward for them, except monetarily. Which, if you're just going to take it and run a round 2 with someone else, especially in a situation like Shoko, where Shoko was kind of poop round 1 in terms of sales, they did not hit. Kono put up money to make it, and then it shipped. People love it. Round 2 is going to pop off, and it's going to sell at least 500 kits, probably close to 1,000, if not more. And that person was like, I'm taking this somewhere else. I'm taking it to, a different vendor. Then it's like, it's rough for them too, because then they were like, well, we made it happen. We're the reason why the set is loved. So it's a weird situation. I think you're right in the fact of, because a lot of vendors can kind of see the future for a lot of these sets, like they know this set's going to do well. This set's going to sell 500, 1,000, 2,000 sets. They may be more apt to say, we'll let you retain all of the rights to the set. Everything, you can have all the colors and everything. We don't care. We just want to run it. But for the sets that may not do as well, that might just barely hit or only do like, 350, 400 kits, I think it's perfectly okay for a vendor to say, hey, listen, I want a little bit of liability on your end, saying, hey, I'm going to, if you want to run round 2, you got to run it with me. Or I now have a piece of the colors. Maybe I own like if there's 3 colors in a set, maybe I own the rights to those 3 colors being used together. And then that way you could do something like Shoko Dark, but you couldn't do Shoko Light.
That brings up a really interesting point. Would we be here? Would people get mad? At the end of the day, Kono bought out. Kono's the reason Shoko happened. If Ray goes to another company and takes that really fucks over Kono. Because the only reason that set's popular is because Kono made sure that that set was made. And would we be sitting here, would people, with the outcry of this, would the people get mad if he took it to another vendor? Because honestly, I would. I'm sitting here listening to you. I'm like, I would be infuriated. I think that would be such a shitty move by that designer that they're like, hey, obviously this is a hypothetical situation, but they're like, hey, whatever, I don't like you anymore. But even though you're the reason this set is going to sell 1,000 kits next round, like, I'm going to go take it to Dixie. And then now you're going to be throwing in this huge thing because it's like, okay, well, Dixie is just going, okay, I'll sell it for you. But then Kono's kind of like, cool. So like, thanks. So end of the day, I do think contracts should very much be a thing. And I think the stipulations of if you have to be bought out, you lose a lot of what you have promised me. You lose a lot of your flexibility post because you don't want to take that risk. You don't want to go, hey, here's a cool, let's say a base kit costs, if it's 100, do some math. Let's just easy numbers. Let's say it costs $100 per kit. All right. If they have to buy, 150 sets, you're going to be sitting there with, having to ask a company, hey, can I have a cool 15K so you can make this set? And I'm going to be like, sure, but you're going to not be able to go take this and let somebody else go make, 100K off of this. Yeah, I absolutely. As a vendor, I do think, and I'm sure there are. That's why we've seen, like with Canon Keys going into a partnership with Rensuya. That's a relationship that I know is, it's kind of like, hey, we're just going to work together indefinitely, because if you want to run around too, you can just run it right here with me, which I already ran. So it's kind of that interesting situation of like, that should be encouraged. These contracts should be encouraged because you prevent yourself from it protects the vendor, it protects the designer. Because at the end of the day, if you don't like the contract, go somewhere else. That's the beauty of contracts and designers and vendors. Mm-hmm. And if no other vendor will run it, then you're stuck with this situation of, do I sign this bad contract? Well, it's like, well, how bad do you want it?
Yeah. And the thing is, even if you have a contract that maybe not be designer friendly, because like in every industry that has contracts, there are contracts that are friendly for the designer or the artist or that person, and then there's contracts that are friendly for the business. And if they are taking more risk on you, they are going to try to get a contract that is more friendly for them. Yep. And it's just the nature of the beast. When I was in music, I was approached a couple different times with contracts from labels, right? It's not out of the realm of normalcy for a contract, especially for a young contract in the music industry, to be at a like 70% for the record label, if not more than that. Sometimes it's all the way up to like a 90-10 where they take 90% of it. If you're getting more of a artist friendly, you can sometimes get up to like 50-50, which is still a very high amount that they're taking from you. And we're approached one that was like 95-5. And it's like, no. Like, no. If you're Atlantic, sure, maybe. But no. So it's one of those things. It's how much are you willing to give? And that's what you have to think about.
Yeah.
Because you're getting so much risk. They are taking so much risk from you. And they are putting up money. And some of these vendors now understand, well, if I take all the risk for round one and it doesn't go well, but it comes out a fantastic set and people really like it and it goes crazy on social media, I'll get my money back and more on round two. Because that's going to be a thought now because of the Shokos, the DMGs of the world where that has happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's fun to think about the idea that this hobby is growing so big that now we have to have contracts between designers and vendors. That's a good sign of growth. But at the end of the day, and honestly, Talisman brought up a great situation, which is, Shoko, technically, if we're thinking about contracts and making money, Shoko was a derivative of someone else's artwork. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, well, how much power do you have? How much power do you really have as a designer? Because guess what? If you piss enough people off, no one will run your set. So honestly, if the question really becomes, who has the power? Vendors have all the power because they can just say no. Yeah. And then you're sitting there going, well, I want to shop my ideas around. And then if you start, vendors talk to each other, by the way. Like I know Dixie and Mike from Novel Keys are very good friends and they talk all the time. And I know 159 is in there too. And that's Project Keyboards. And you bet your ass that Krellbit and the guys at Oko and all these people talk. So if you're going around going, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do this, you might run yourself out of town. So the power is within the vendors, because those vendors are going to be the ones that are able to communicate with GMK. And as we've seen literally with this, GMK doesn't want anything to do with anyone outside of the people that give them money.
Which is acceptable, I feel.
Which is 100%
They're
reasonable.
performing a service.
Yeah.
And they need the money. And the person giving them money.
Some random dude on another continent is messaging me about, this person's running my set, and they're going to literally look at it as if it's spam mail. So the powers within the vendors are able to set these precedences. And at the end of the day, one, what's on those contracts, none of our business really. But I think that these vendors have every right to kind of treat this as, if you want to go shop your idea around more, go for it. Or you can run it with me and do this. And if I found out that any vendor was doing this, honestly, I'd be like, well, we are in a situation where you have the right to go to a different vendor, or you don't run it. But like, they're doing all the work for you. Or you take the mentorly approach and just become your own vendor.
That's the other thing. Is someone talked about it being a monopoly. Just, you can become a vendor. Dixie started as a keyboard enthusiast, became a vendor. 159 started as a keyboard enthusiast, ran some stuff, became a vendor.
Yep.
Anyone can do it. Yes, it requires a lot of work. Yes, it requires knowing how to run a business, and there's going to be a lot more than you'd expect. But there is room for more vendors. Now, it's going to take a while, and it's going to be really hard, especially right now with everything that's going on in the world. But you could realistically do that yourself. You might need an in on to get in contact with like people like GMK or Signature Plastics, but it is possible. You can become a vendor. It's not like, clothing where it takes like 15, 20 years for you to become a notable clothing designer, or you have to like send your clothes for free to like all these super, relevant influencers in the communities that you're revolving around. You can become a vendor fairly easily and fairly quickly in this community and have that
it just takes
power,
work.
I guess. But the reason you have that power is because you're doing so much. Yeah. Vendors do a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. To wrap up this topic, personally, end of the day, I guess I would have to think of this as another set that I would actually want, because I don't really want Choco, but I would kind of go, well, that's crappy, but I mean, they kind of did buy him out. But like, I guess, when does the line of courtesy and business start and stop? Because it's kind of like, well, it's almost like a setting a precedent here, really, because if you're going, the vendor, Kono, a vendor, just gave a lot of power to a designer, because they just set the precedent of, don't piss off the designer. I think that's good for designers. I think that's good. I think that's creating conversations that need to be happening. But I also think, while that gave some power to the designer, you're going to have a lot of vendors really starting to double check and rethink how they go about running group buys moving forward.
Yeah. My takes on this: get a contract.
Sorry.
Definitely
don't piss on the designer.
Don't piss on them. My takes: get some form of a contract from your vendor. Talk about that. Have that uncomfortable discussion about the entire set of ownerships, anything that you want to put under that umbrella. Have that conversation. Iron that all out before you run. If you are going to run a round 2 and you're going to make changes and you want to make those changes, have the conversation with your vendor first. You need to go back to the vendor that you ran round 1 with, and you need to talk to them, see if they're interested in round 2, see if the changes that you want to make are also what they are in line with their ideals. So you don't run into a situation like this where they're like, we don't want to run Hiragana, and you're like, well, I'm going to run Hiragana. At the end of the day, if they're not willing to put up the money and they're not willing to let you leave with your design, then you're kind of screwed. So have that conversation. And obviously, I think, to wrap up on Kono's side, I think Kono should have reached out. Kono should have reached out to Ray and cleared everything with him, said, hey, we want to do this again. Would you still like to be involved? Is this something that you would like to also help us work on, help us market? Because a lot of times, in a lot of different places, some of these designers have more marketing power than and have a lot of influence than the design or than the runner, especially with the Kono sense. They don't really market. So the runner isn't really doing much, whereas the designer is really the marketing for that. So
yeah. Yep. 100%. So fun anecdote. This happened with GMK9's round 2. But Amir said, I don't care. Do what you want.
Yeah, I mean that was different.
So it's funny to me that this is a huge issue and a lot of people are talking about. It literally happened 5 months ago with round 2, but the response was from Amir was, I don't care. I don't have the copyright to literally using 2 colors made from GMK. Have at it. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, that was the difference. I was going to say is the GMK GMK stock colors versus custom colors. So, and that's it's just an entire like gray area.
Yeah.
Like
which contracts make things very black and white.
Yeah. That's why you do contracts. So that way when you're like, well, there's a gray area. Well, we have this 64-page document that lists everything every situation and tells us what to do in that situation.
That's why if you look at contracts, lots of lines that say in the event of. Anyway, here's another idea about contracts and money being passed and money being used for maybe not being put towards things. Anyway, the Lumina group buy. This has been a hot topic for Osiris and I. Just very front forward. Osiris and I are obviously personally invested in this group buy because both of us bought a keyboard from them. Both of us bought, this will come into importance later, both of us bought like the best version of this board, the most expensive version of this board, a brass kit, everything. Like the only way we could have made it a little bit more expensive is if we got the elderberry color. Yeah. We got kind of normal colors, but all brass accents, brass plate, all that stuff. So for those who don't know, the Lumina ran in the fall of late summer, early fall of 2019 or 18. Sorry. Promises were made, and there are actually prototypes that were sent out. Nathan Kim had videos for a while on the prototypes. Builds were made. Mr. Keebs built a prototype, and things seemed to go well. And then the Tesla Strung just disappeared for a while. And then he came back after people were threatening, lawsuits and all this. It came back and he was like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm going to make this right. And started posting these updates. But the updates were doing okay. And then things started getting a little wishy-washy because it started going, oh, the shipping failed, or, oh, I lost. It was like things conveniently started tripping up again. And then he went radio silent again. For those who are interested, the board was north of $300. It was in between $300 and $400. There was specifics to the fact that he came out and said, hey, it's delayed, or hey, they might not be made, or hey, like he started talking right after the PayPal deadline for making transaction fees finished up. It was about 2 weeks after you no longer could go argue about it with PayPal. So lots of sketchy things happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it became a big deal back early or middle of last year. Actually, it was kind of close to around this time. there was a big Reddit post about Tess and about all the things that had done and how he had screwed all these people. And a big center point of that was not only his one-offs that he had committed to and then not delivered on, but also the Lumina, which the Lumina had somewhere in the market of around, I think it ended up being, I think based on a lot of people's calculations, between $40,000 and $50,000, if not more than that, in excess of that amount, in group buy money. In terms of people bought those boards, put up the money, he had that, got locked in PayPal. Chewy and I's money locked up, gone. I would say, but not forgotten. But hopefully, maybe one day. This is, I believe, it is also Woodkey's. He made wooden wrist rests for a while. Tess is an engineer. I believe he's in college. I don't know if he's still in college. Was at the time of the Lumina. Since then, basically everything, he went radio silent. A guy named Rubber Militia has graciously put himself involved with it and was in contact with Tess and was making sure that there was a lot of communication there, trying to figure out how they could get this back on track and how they could get it taken care of, get it finished. They've basically come to the conclusion that that's not going to happen. And now they are trying to pick it back up and figure out where to go from here. Which I'll let Chewy get into what they are talking about.
Yeah, so
that whole.
So the money is not there anymore. The money was misused, and the money basically there. The money's not there to fulfill the group buy. It was mishandled, and so this guy Rubber Militia suggested an idea, which basically said, "I will take over this group buy, but I will need a little bit of money from the people in the group buy run that was," and it was basically, what we can offer you if you pay us somewhere in the realm of about $100, no more, then we will give you an all acrylic version of the Illumina.
With the appropriate top and bottom being
with the Corian colors, but no metal. There'd be no brass. I think there might be aluminum plates, but I don't remember exactly what he said, like with plates wise. But basically, the cheapest version of this, and we will start working through this. And then the other thing too, which a lot of this comes from, is in a very bad move and something that he openly admitted to in an apology. He, after misusing some of the Lumina money, he started taking on one-off commissions and very private small buys to try and help pay for the Lumina, which, I mean, going into debt further to get out of other debt, going into it, opening up a different credit card to try and pay off another credit card. Obviously don't do that. So now you have like 30 other people confirmed, by the way, that have like these personal commission boards that are also not fulfilled. So we're not even talking about the Lumina anymore at this point. These are different boards that are being fulfilled, and it's kind of this like awkward situation where he was taking on these other projects to help fund stuff because he misused the money. And so now we're going, hey, I know you've spent $340 something on it, but we're going to ask for another $100 so that you can receive something. And I see one side of this, and then I see my side of this, which I see the side of, you're trying to make something right. You are doing everything you can to give someone something, anything at this point. Just something at the end of the day that they can go, at least I got like this. On my end, I wrote it down as an analogy in our thing. If I go buy in 2018, if I order a brand new Corvette, and then I'm sitting and waiting, and then the guy's like, "Don't worry, I'm working on it. And don't worry, I'm working on it. Don't worry, I'm working on it." And then he comes back, and his buddy's like, "By the way, guy ran off with most of your money. So here's what I'm gonna ask you to do. I'm gonna ask you to pay 30% of what you paid, and I'm gonna give you, instead of this 2018 Corvette, even though it's 2020 and the new ones are way cooler, we're gonna give you this like 98 banged up one that you didn't pay for."
Well, even if it was
Instead.
still a 2018, but it was used and it was like
It was used.
it was
and
like a
had,
rental car
you
and
know,
had like
yeah,
60,000 miles on it.
60,000 miles, and you ordered the leather upgrade package. You ordered the Harman Kardon audio setup. You ordered everything, and they're giving you the base model. No, I'm not happy. There's no way, there is no way in hell that I am giving any more money to this, because I've already viewed this as a loss.
Yeah.
I've already, we've talked about this before. This is a harsh lesson that we both learned. But I still either expect my money back. I would want either my money back, or you to ship me the product that I originally paid for. Or even if you ship me a product that's cheaper, I don't want to have to pay more for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
that's the thing, and it's not to downplay the work that Rubber Militia is doing. We both appreciate the fact that he is trying to make something, as Chewy said before, he is trying to make something out of nothing, really. He's trying to take something that was completely broken, put the pieces back together, and achieve something for people, which we very much appreciate. I appreciate all the work he's done in talking to Tess, figuring out how to get things, how to get the products that are the materials and all of that stuff. But it is a little frustrating when you've paid so much for something. $350 is a lot of money. Regardless of how much money you make, that is a decent amount of money. It's a lot of money for a lot of people. And to not get what you paid for sucks. Unfortunately, with the way things are, because of the timing for this, Grids asked, why is he not being held accountable by law? So the problem is, we are not able to do anything at this point. I think you can. There are ways to get into maybe a class action lawsuit or something, but it's gonna be, it's too much money to pay for the legal aspect of it than it would be to just call it a loss. Like if someone came in and had millions and millions of dollars and wanted to spend $150,000-$200,000 on like an actual lawsuit and everything that goes into that, all the lawyer fees and all that, just to make an example out of this situation, then sure. But at the end of the day, you have to understand, I don't think Tess ever intentionally did all this. I think he's a young guy who is in school. He did the same thing that a lot of us do with credit cards, right? You get a credit card, you have a limit that's really high, way higher than you probably should have. You spend a bunch of money on it, then you're like, oh crap, I've got to pay this back. You get an interest, now you're in a hole. You open up another credit card, you try to figure out, you transfer that balance over, and then now the hole's just somewhere else. You get in over your head, and that's what happened. He got in over his head. Is it messed up? Yes. Do people make mistakes? Yes. Did he mess up really, really hard? Yes. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go after someone legally for something like this. Some people may. I think some people have.
And you know what? Good luck to them. You know, the class action thing, I'm like, cool. I don't need to receive a $13 check in the mail. That's not going to fix it. You know, what's going to fix it, to me personally, send a personal email.
Yeah.
Saying, this is exactly what happened. I screwed up. I made a very bad decision and I'm wrong. I was wrong. He made a stupid decision. You know, I mean, you basically said he wasn't malicious.
Yeah.
He was blissfully ignorant and stupid.
Yeah. Chewy and I both have $350 for both of us. We don't make a ton of money. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money for both of us. But we have also come to terms with, like, we've written it off. It was a mistake we both made. I could probably speak for both of us here, where we've made bigger than $350 mistakes in our lifetimes. I'm okay with my $350 never coming back to me and just taking the mistake on the chin and just calling it a day.
Yeah. I'm not, I'm like I said earlier, I want the money back. Yes, I would love the money back. I'm not going to go fight for it. It's not worth my time at this point. It's not worth my time and effort. Like I said, what I want, I think, in the thread you can read, some people made some good comments. It's like, you need to show a post. This is what I owe to everyone and the monetary value I owe to these people, because he needs to be held accountable. At the end of the day, yes, he made a mistake, but he shouldn't be let off the hook for making that mistake. But if you're going to do anything in this hobby ever again, you need to right these wrongs. And, if I ever, I think that it's kind of one of those things where it's like, man, if I ever found out that he was doing anything under a different name, oof.
Yeah.
I would be excited to talk about it on Mechs on Deck.
My thing is can I have my, because Corian, the way it's cut, it's sheets, right? And then they cut it out of the giant sheet. Can I just have my sheets and then I'll take it somewhere and I'll make some coasters or something out of my blocks of Corian?
Yeah. And there's a lot, Grids brings up a good point of yes, you don't see why it can be reported to local police. End of the day, group buy is a weird thing. It's a very strange idea of I'm going to give you this money for a product I don't even have yet. And we started seeing a lot of group buys going I understand that this is a product that hasn't been made and yada yada yada. That's right, because that's just offering protection. For those who don't know, I ran a Baka, the Baka 60 round 2. Didn't spend any money from the Baka. I barely made any, but anything money wise from that I didn't touch until the group buy was over, because I was worried about what if something goes wrong. And you try and make sure, it's what did I spend the money on? Well, I found out the hard way that boxes are very expensive to ship, actual physical boxes and all that. Why am I not doing a round 2? That's a large financial hit. And I was sitting there thinking I can do 20. That's something where if crisis happened and something stupid, which one, you just don't treat that money as your own. That's just money that's untouchable. That's how you treat that. It's very simple math. That money doesn't count.
Open up a new savings account.
Open up a new savings account.
There,
store it there, and don't ever touch it. But the other thing too is I'm not going to run that because that's such a high risk, and I could take out a loan for 20 boards if I did something stupid like that, and it wouldn't completely ruin my life. I would only be owing the bank that loan on 20 boards. If I did that on 40, I would have a much harder time explaining that to the bank why I need all of this money. I can't take that. And it only takes 3 boards to get just absolutely janked up in one way or another, to where now you're losing a bunch of money, because, that's so. For those wondering why I balk around too, not because I feel like I would misuse the money, but because things can go wrong. Shipping can get changed. PCBs can get messed up or anything like that. And I don't want to take a risk like that right now during this economic climate. So that's why there's no balk around 2 right now.
So to talk about what Jeff Leopard just said in the chat, said, so you guys just want a letter saying I messed up. Sorry, this is why. That's the accountability we're talking about? That's it? So you have to understand that everyone takes the situation differently, right? I think Chewy and I are both pretty easygoing people in general. We're both fairly forgiving. I don't know Chewy to hold a grudge. I don't really hold a ton of grudges myself.
You still have that fucking desk mat, and I see it, and you just flaunt it on me on that goddamn camera.
Willie Talent, we're talking about the Lumina group buy. I think for us, we've just seen it. It's been almost 2 years at this point. I'm just dude, I don't really care anymore. Like at the end of the
It's
day, I just don't,
yeah,
I don't
it's
really care.
different because it's not like he's off doing other things.
Right.
He's basically been expelled from the hobby. He's not, if he was just still doing stuff and just fucking off, doing other keyboard group buys and ignoring this one, I would be like, where the fuck is my money? I'd be knocking on that dude's door. But he's gone. He kind of got ran out of town. I mean, if that guy showed his face in a thread, he would get destroyed. He would get screamed because there are a lot of pissed off people, rightfully so. But at the end of the day, calmly approaching someone is going to get a much better response than immediately screaming at them the second they open the door. So, I'm not saying that, that would make it all right, but I am saying that that is the right thing to do. If you don't have the money, then admit it and, hang your head up high, swallow your pride and admit what you did wrong and apologize to these people that believed in your product, because that's better than nothing. And what we have gotten is nothing. And I'm not asking, step one, give me my money back. That's how the happiest or deliver the product, which honestly, I don't even care about at this point. But either deliver the project, give me my money, or admit that you're wrong and tell me and apologize to me and let me know, just because that's like the human thing to do. Because everything other than that is just, I'm like, I already don't have respect for you, but that would at least give me closure on this situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not good closure, but something.
It's funny how this situation kind of lines up a little bit with the last situation. We talked about, how you can become a vendor if you want, right? Well, this is a situation where someone became a vendor that should not have become a vendor. He tried to run the Lumina by himself, uncapped group buy, ton of boards, sold a ton. He had $50,000. PayPal got locked out because they were like, what the hell is going on? You have all this money in your account and you've never had any sort of money of this level in your account before. What is going on? They shut that down and then it slowly gets released. Well, it's slowly getting released. Then you're slowly spending it on other things. And then all of a sudden the board doesn't happen. You're out of luck, right? If you would have gone with a vendor, more often than not, this wouldn't have happened.
I probably would have sold mine already. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Sniper Bob brings up a good point. Now, if the Lumina group buy plunder wasn't malicious, are the unfulfilled commissions considered malicious? Malicious, yes, but not as that word is, I guess, intended. He was not doing that to intentionally fuck over other people. He wasn't going, I'm going to take your money and not make you a board so that I can make this.
It was like, I'm taking the money.
It's still a very, very stupid decision on his part. Like, I know, like, he will, to me, he will forever go down as one of the dumbest people to run a group by, because of just how poorly this was handled and how many times in this situation did you not just be like, let me do the right thing. And I hope no one ever tops him, because you'd have to do something really fucked up to top this.
Yeah. He basically was like, I'm going to design your board. My profit that I'm making, I'm going to put towards Lumina. And that's why he continued to do it. Right. And the thing is like, the thing that sucks and honestly probably frustrates me more is that he designs really cool looking and awesome boards. Like, he does. He is a great designer. It's really unfortunate that he's such an idiot.
Yep.
Like not everyone that can design can be a vendor. I don't know.
Yeah, and I hope vendors, I hope no one ever hits this guy up for designs, for keyboards at least.
Well, I mean,
like, it sucks because it's wasted talent, but this guy does not deserve to be in this hobby until he rights that wrong. If he comes back and rights that wrong, then we'll talk.
Well, people tried to
But
help him. I know vendors did
I
reach
know
out and tried to help
they
him.
did try, but
They were like, "Oh, you're this far in the hole. I can't make up for that. Like, I can't put that much forward to try to help you." And so, it's. I don't. I think honestly too. I think he doesn't even realize how far in the hole he is.
yeah,
I don't think he knows. We're talking about
Teslatron.
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 I don't think he actually knows how far in the hole he is with everything, because he doesn't even know how much it's going to cost for some of these parts that were initially supposed to be in the board to get machined. So I don't know. I appreciate what Rubber is trying to do. Rubber Militia. I really appreciate what he's trying to do. I'm not really wanting to spend another $100 to go get a board that I didn't really want in that version. Yeah. I could spend that $100 and buy Infinity Grain. You know?
Boom. Yeah. Last, my thing. I don't think he should even be touching that. I think if I'm Rubber Militia, I'd get out. Yeah. I was in the group buy Discord with it. I would just get out. I would just leave. Just hands off it. Like, listen, I don't want any part of this. I didn't run it. Like, he's kind of setting himself on fire doing this and associating himself with this. And I would have backed the hell out a long, long, long time ago. So, anyway, good spice.
Good spice.
Good spice.
I think people might be like, I can't believe they're not more upset about it. It's just been so long. It's been such a.
I was upset about it a long time ago. If we seem like we're talking a lot more laissez-faire about it, that's because we've yelled at each other about this multiple times. We've had very long nights of discussion about the amount of bullshit that went on. We've talked about it. It's kind of just like a nightmare that won't end.
See, people say the Trinity came out. I'm skeptical though, because have we really seen more than just the initial 2 that were there of the thing? Because here's the thing about Corian. It is extremely hard to machine in the way that you would need to machine it for keyboards. So I don't know if people have been watching like the Key Cult and Salvin streams. They touched on it today. Things like marble, things that basically are made into countertops, are nearly impossible to machine in a CNC. It slips around, causes issues. You get weird holes. It chips, it cracks in certain ways. It's very hard to do, which is why it's a very expensive material to machine in that way. So I don't know. I honestly don't know if the Trinity actually did happen. There was some really weird stuff. I did some digging on it. There was like a new Reddit account that was trying to sell one of the ones that looked exactly and was like the same number as one of the initial ones. I was trying to sell it for like $1,000. So that was weird. There's definitely that all happened, right? That all did happen. But did the board actually happen? I don't know. Was there really
how much
more
of a
than
trolley
2?
would it be like what if I ran the Baca 60, but I only opened up one spot and then Eric bought it? That's kind of what it seems like, is that they're like, I guess you were just flexing. I don't know, but that's a whole nother episode topic. So anyway, it's, and Talisman brings up a good situation or good decision statement. Yes, you are at risk. If you pick a vendor, like if you go buy the 7V from Novel Keys, that is a nice, easy feeling in the stomach, knowing that, yeah, it sucks that you have to wait till next year, but Novel Keys is going to make that right. If for whatever reason, like buying with a vendor is smart, because most of the time, until a vendor, and I hope that hopefully vendors won't ever screw up, but vendors are going to make it right. They're going to do the right thing, because if they didn't, they wouldn't be a vendor anymore. And I don't know about you guys, but most people are not trying to throw their life away to make a quick buck once. So that's why, we suggest like Mechanisk. If you want to buy a Fiel or the Tend coming soon or a Clippa, like he's done it. He's proven that he's done a good job. You can buy from him without a sick feeling in your stomach like it might not happen. We warn against one-off group buy runners. They can be great. But I mean, I would even say like Vox Key, Smith and Rune, that there's kind of a risk involved there. Now we've seen pictures of the boards. I know they're going to get delivered, but that's still a risk because they are not a proven vendor. If they deliver all these Iron 165s and they're all solid, guess what? You're now a proven vendor and you now can trust them. Well, but that's still a scary situation.
Iron ran on Cannon Keys though.
Oh yeah. So yeah, ran through Cannon. So never mind. I forget that. So yeah.
But they're still handling a lot of the.
They're handling 90% of that, but honestly, that just kind of legitimized them. The going like, hey, so if you're a keyboard designer, private buys are great, but private buys are obviously way more risky. So you just kind of have to put your faith in someone. But it's usually best, especially if you're going into like a first time group buy, to pick a vendor that has either done a bunch before or avoid the one-offs as much as possible. So,
Brez, we've talked about the Xeno before. I'm not a fan of the way that that's handled or how that has turned out. I think there needs to be more done on Zeal's part in order to make that right for the people who bought that board, because of the way that board was marketed and meant to be. It's hard to say for Zeal's whole brand is to be, bespoke and the highest end, the highest level of switches, the peak performance for keyboards. And the Xeno was marketed along those same lines. So for it to come out and be crappy sucks.
Yep.
People got what they bought, but not necessarily in the same manner. But I do think he should probably do something for the people who bought it and not let that be his legacy, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I think a lot of people, I know quite a few people who are like, never buying from Zeal again. Just not going to.
Rightfully so. You have every right to do that. DD Klein, basically, he started a group buy in January of last year and said, like, hey, these boards are going to be a quick turnaround. I've already ordered a bunch. And, like, I'm going to run the group buy. And then, like, products are already being made. And then production slowed down to a grinding halt. There was issues with the PVD. And then quality control, the anodization of mismatching and hook marks and all these other things. Something that you would not expect out of a board $500 and up. There were a lot of problems where things like boards like from KBD fans did not have these problems and are half the price. So really that's what happened. And he is attempting to, I mean, he did not run away with money. People have the Xenos. He said like, hey, it's going to be a while, but like they're coming out at this rate. But so it's not like a scam per se, but he has pretty much written his ticket to never running another keyboard group buy. I don't think he would want to. I wouldn't want to. He still makes, very high quality switches. And I think that's probably what he's just going to stick with from now on.
Yeah. I mean, and you can do what you want. Vote with your wallet. You want to buy them. You want to support that. It's completely different world of switches versus your boards. Because realistically, at this point, he's doing almost nothing with the switches. They are just getting made by Gatoron and sent to him, and he's shipping them to you in Ziploc bags. He's writing a number on the Ziploc bag and putting it in a box and shipping it to you. So it's
and yeah,
sucks.
and Talisman brings up some people are getting great boards, and it just sucks that some people aren't.
Yeah.
So I don't think that you. Osiris said it perfectly. Vote with your wallet. If you don't want to ever support him again, don't. If you think that he did, what sucks is, I like Zeal switches. I would not have Zeal. I would not have Zycos if it was not for Zeal switches. I'm never going to buy a board from him. That's me voting with my wallet. But I also think he makes great switches, and I would continue to buy switches from him because he has proven to me that he can make good switches. He has not proven to me that he can make good keyboards. So I will buy switches. I won't buy keyboards. It's that simple. So I don't think he scammed people. I think that he did a bad job running a keyboard group buy, but I don't think he scammed anybody.
Yeah. So, does anyone have any questions for us? Anything else you want to hear us ramble and rant about? Chewy, what are you doing tomorrow?
Well, it's a funny thing, the way the world works. I'm building the third of the Mechs on Deck Baka channels. Baka, the third Cerakoted Baka, Mech 27. We can go over that another time. Kajada, that's a long time. I'm building Olivia's Baka. So I will be turn. I'm sorry. There you go. So I will be building the Olivia Baka, which is just the rose gold Baka, nothing different, with some cool switches with progressive springs. I'm excited to try those. I lubed them up today. And then other than that, I know we got Minterly coming on Wednesday. Excited for that. That's going to be a good conversation. Post 24-hour stream Minterly. Hopefully your sleep schedule is back in. Let's see. We got some questions. Or one, I saw one. Where was it? What happens when you sign up and pay for a group buy that doesn't meet minimum? 99% of the time, you just get refunded.
Yeah, they just give you your money back.
Sometimes, if you go into a group buy, a lot of them will say like you might have to take a 3% hit because of the way like PayPal or Shopify works. But while that might suck, like that's not the worst. It's better than not getting your money back, I guess.
97% of your money is better than no percent of your money.
Yep. So sometimes you store credit at Red Lobster. Son's third. Ooh, well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Son.
So if you guys don't know, you should get the Rukia. It is one of the coolest Alice style boards. So go check that out. Use promo code Mechs on Deck, and that helps the channel. So be sure to check that out. We'll go through our other sponsors as well. With GMK Nautilus, you can find at Dixie Mechs. You can go to mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. Pick up GMK Nautilus now. GMK Redacted coming very, very soon. So be sure to check that out. Zap Cables. He makes some of the best cables. He makes some awesome desk mats, as well as providing awesome DIY kits. So be sure to check him out as well. Project Keyboard. You can go to mechsondeck.project.link. GMK Masterpiece coming out soon. I'm liking that set more and more. The more
it's
I look
pretty.
at it, the more
it's a
I'm
pretty
like,
set.
I'm like, okay, I see you. So Cannon Keys, pick up GMK Noel. GMK Noel's I still think is going to be a sleeper. I don't care how many sets it sells. I think people are going to love it way more once it delivers. Type Beast join that. I just went blank on the term newsletter. He has a fantastic newsletter. And then last but not least, switchmod.net/mexodeck, 4% off all your lube and springs, and check out GMK Frostwitch from now until the middle of May.
And to answer Mr. Scott Waters' question, what's unique about the Rukia? So it's one of the only polycarb versions of the Alice style layout that is like readily available. A lot of the things that have happened, if you want an Alice, you're going to have to get in there in like 2 seconds, sometimes less. If you want a lot of these other ones, you got to be in Discords, you got to know the right people. This is an open buy, and you can get Polycarb Rukia. You can even get an aluminum top for it, which is pretty unique. And they have tons of different plate options. $35 gets you a carbon fiber plate. It's a pretty cool deal. Try out some new plate options. I don't know, Rust, if that is true. I have not asked that question. I would assume if it is, that he probably is wanting to do it in a different material. Oompa Loompa, UMHMWPEQXYL, whatever that is. Yeah, he's working on that. So yeah, lots of different options. Check him out. Bookmark that site. He's doing lots of cool stuff. As Chewy said, he is. I'm not going to be. I'll be in chat, but I won't be physically on screen.
Let's be real. You'll be playing Overwatch, and I totally understand.
Hey, you know what?
It's a baka. We've seen.
Chewy will be building a baka.
Come hang out, and I'll be telling stories about cooking and the United States Postal Service.
That'll be happening tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central. So come hang out with us. Join our Discord. Follow us or sub to us on YouTube. We've got a ton of VODs over there. As we said, we are doing a 24-hour stream on May 9th. It's going to be lots of fun. We're going to be playing games with y'all, games with other people in the community, giving a lot of cool stuff away. You can actually even win a Rukia, which is pretty nuts. So you're going to want to hang out for that.
Lots of keycap sets too.
Yeah, lots of keycap sets, lots of artisans possibly as well.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a good time.
One whole Rukia, please. Yeah, absolutely. And then lots of giveaways. I'm working on the schedule. We've got the first draft of it, and I think both of us are really liking it so far. We have some other fun things planned that technically we have to go over and see how viable those options are. But other than that, I just want to say we've noticed we've had a lot more people watching us, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining. Welcome to everyone who is new. And thank you for spending your evenings, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings with us. We definitely appreciate it.
We really do. Scott Water, thank you for the 100 bits. Appreciate that. Talisman, thank you for those bits earlier today. Very, very much appreciate everything y'all do for us, for the communities, for all of the different streamers. I know Mentally had an insane viewer number for almost all of her 24-hour stream. Support your Keeb creators. This out of the love of the craft.
Absolutely. So, got to think of something fun to say. Every time I say anything, we're going to raid Apiary. Every time I say anything, she takes it the wrong way. So I think we're going to say something super nice, something that she legitimately can't get mad at. So give me just a second.
I think she's eating I saw something. She's eating Vegemite today. Make chat ask a bunch of questions. True. Just don't take this the wrong way, but and then nothing else. I like that Frisco melt.
I'm working on one. I do like that a lot, but I want to get back into the hey, you don't hate me, because I show up on that stream and everyone's like, hey, fuck Dave.
I mean, I think that's like a meme. That's like a channel meme.
It is a meme. So we're gonna do something like this. My keyboard's not working. What?
Chewy broke his keyboard. Did you wanted to spam it? Okay, this is what we're doing. I can spam it too.
I literally.
No,
I can't.
I'll set up the raid as well.
I don't have. Hold on. I'll explain what happened to you after the stream, but I locked myself out of my computer.
All right, so there's a good chance that Chewy might not be able to hear me right now.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. He can hear me, but he can't see me.
Yep.
So this is what we're going to spam. We're going to spam. Chewy genuinely wants to say he respects you as a friend and as a person. To Miss Apiary Keyboards. Again, come join us tomorrow night. We are going to be streaming. Well, Chewy's going to be streaming a Baka build if he can figure out how to get back into his computer. And that'll be happening at 8 p.m. Central. And then Wednesday, we will be streaming with Miss Mentorly. Miss Mentorly, designer of SA Bliss, as well as tons of other stuff, and a fantastic streamer. So come check out. That will be happening at 8 p.m. as well. So with that being said, we're outie. Have a good night. What should they do, Chewy?
Buy a Switch tester.
I know.